You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. What can you say, man? Give a clap to the opera singer calling it in there, the ChrisVossShow.com. What are you doing? Welcome to another show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by the show. As always, the show, Chris Voss Show, comes to you every day, weekday, 3 to 4 times a weekday, 15 to 20 times a week. So remember, if you're not listening to every show, you're missing out on so many bloody epiphanies. We've had a couple shows this morning. I've had some amazing epiphanies. I've learned some amazing stuff where my brain went into shock and went, oh my God, it's been in front of me the whole time. The answer I've been looking for. Yesterday, we had some amazing epiphanies as well. And before that, it was Sunday, so that was about it. But I had some epiphanies on Sunday, but they usually involved eating some really good food and some salmon, so I'll leave that aside for now. As always, we have the most amazing guests on the show. For 15 years, we've been bringing to you the billionaires, the CEOs, the White House advisors, the U.S. Justice Department people. We've been bringing you, God, who else? The Pulitzer Prize winners, the authors, television news anchors, people that you'll see all over TV on the show, and brilliant minds that are going to add to your quality of life. You know, think about it this way. I mean, it's important to stay up to what's going on in the world, but sometimes the news can be a bit dark. But the beautiful part about your Chris Voss show is you can always come on here and you can get uplifting things always told to you, and uplifting ideas, things that will expand your mind, or at least things that you could share with other people. And you can be like, hey, you know, you should probably listen to this show because you really need it. So that's why you should always refer the show to your family, friends, relatives. See the work I did there? Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 on the tickety talkie. We have an amazing young man on the show. He is Christian Elliot, who's joining us today. He's the founder of True Whole Human. He's a health coach and creator of the Healthy Lifestyle Reset, which is pretty good. That sounds awesome to me. You know, we were going to have a coach that's opposite of him, the McDonald's eating coach on the show, but we decided Healthy Lifestyle Reset was better to have. So we invited him to come on the show. Christian Elliot is a husband, father of 6, and a bit of a unicorn in the coaching industry. In college, he double majored in communications and religion and theology. He has a master's of divinity from Fuller Theological Seminary. He is also a certified personal trainer, nutritional coach, and life coach. He, along with his wife, Nina, runs a personal coaching program that blends a deep understanding of health, human nature, emotional intelligence, relationship skills, and project management into a life-changing journey. His work has been featured in all media outlets and dozens of alternative media. He runs the blog and podcast called Deconstructing Conventional, where he takes on thought-provoking and contentious topics. He's darn near unflappable. That's there you go. I think it's the first time anyone's used inflappable in a bio on the show. There you go. So, but it must be called for. He loves having his perspective challenged, and you can't spend time with him without having your thinking stretched. And he joins us on the show. Welcome to the show, Christian. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
There you go. I'm glad you could take time away from being a father of 6. That's a lot of work there.
That is. You have plenty of irons in the fire when you have 6 kids. That's for sure.
How about sleep? No, I'm just kidding. So give us your .coms. How can people find you on the interwebs?
Best place is truewholehuman.com. I also have a blog, deconstructingconventional.com, or you can find the podcast by that name as well.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you and I believe your wife you work with do.
Well, we are, I guess the best box you can put us in initially is that of a health coach. And so we quickly over the years kind of expanded that box to include what we call the whole human. So we really got our feet wet in the health world, more particularly trying to get my health back. It was not amazing when we got married. And so that kind of redirected me from where I thought I was going professionally into, shoot, I kind of have a knack for this, and people seem to be interested in what I have learned and what I have to say about health. And so repairing my health and then turning that into a curriculum eventually turned into a brick and mortar business that we ran for 9 years, where we integrated a lot of different people across the spectrum of health and wellness. And then in 2017, we became virtual coaches. And that really is when we expanded more into the life coaching and what turned into relationship coaching, and blended those into one experience. Because we've just learned we can't separate mental, emotional, physical, spiritual from health and think we're going to get anywhere. If you stay too siloed, you can usually miss the biggest, most important thing somebody's wrestling with. And so by taking that 30,000 foot view of the person and what their context is, what their relational status is, what their emotional boulders are, and their physiological landscape, then we can really step in and say, oh, where do we move the fulcrum to get leverage over this person's health and help them move forward with that? So that's your 30,000 foot look.
Yeah, no silos. It's balanced out. You got to make sure you keep all the plates spinning, I guess. So tell us about your origin story, or maybe your health journey. Where were you, and what did you need to overcome?
Yeah. So in my last year of grad school, I had kind of the health that was declining. My immune system was having a fight, and I was getting sick frequently. I thought stupidly at that point, taking flu shots was going to help. And so I did my best. Despite my best efforts, I could not seem to stay healthy. So I was sick probably about 4 times a year, kind of that cold that knocks you out for a week or two. And then I had a pressure washing business. And so pressure washing walls on a heavy wand on a ladder, and then trying to stay buff for the ladies that I was hoping to attract. And so basically not knowing what the heck I was doing in the gym, working out improperly. Between those and waiting tables for 6 years, I really jacked up my shoulder, my left one in particular. And so it became a musculoskeletal puzzle of, why can't I get well? And the only options I'm getting from doctors are more anti-inflammatories, and you're too young for cortisone, and we're not sure surgery's great yet. And so it's just this ping pong around. And I had the open-mindedness, I guess, enough to go see somebody outside what I knew to be medicine, which was conventional medicine. And I saw a chiropractor, and he changed my life. He turned my paradigm of nutrition upside down. He turned upside down the way I thought about health, and saw the pharmaceutical industries and the way that they were supposedly helping, and where it was going to stay limited, and I would just be a lifelong sufferer. And in changing that, it's about a 2-year journey really to reclaim vibrant health that I have enjoyed since, buoyant flexibility, and just the ability to feel strong and not hurt, and then pass that on, the lessons learned on to people. That started kind of as a hobby, just because I needed to do it. And then from there, like so many people in the health world, I had to eat my own cooking, and my passions grew out of solving my own problems. And so that's kind of what I get to do today for people. I've become a professional investigator and question asker who helps them get to the root of their problems.
There you go. That's the thing about entrepreneurism, and a lot of coaches we talk to, they solve their own problems, and they go, hey, I think I have some unique ways to change people's paradigms and mindset in their head, and be able to approach this. And that's what we love about the show, is because, we get these epiphany moments where we go, oh, wow, yeah, I never thought of it that way. So you guys do something you call Truly, and I'm capital True dash LY, holistic coaching. What does that term mean to you guys?
Well, what it means is that we, like I said earlier, we don't separate out and think we need a specialist for every body part and every trauma that someone's had. And we can look more holistically at who this person is, from the health history that is highly relevant, to the mental, emotional landscape, to the story loops people are in, to the ugly things that have happened, the glitches we all have to go through in life. We look at those, and we help people look at and evaluate their storytelling, because we all tell ourselves stories that are just unhelpful and not true. And being able to have a kind guide who can hold up a mirror and say, has anybody ever questioned that? Like, where did that belief come from? And often that is the waypoint into like, oh, I've been dealing with this I always thought I was worthless. I always thought I was too inadequate. I didn't think there was any point in trying. And those stories, more often than not, are what's holding somebody back physically. And then the third piece really is the context of their life, because your life's different than mine. And the things you have that are responsibilities are different than mine. And who speaks into your life and what makes claims on your time are relevant. And if we don't look at that almost through a project management lens and say, okay, what realities, what ripple effects or reverberations are anything we suggest going to create in this person's life? And if we have an inventory of that, and then we go take these theories and test them in reality and debrief, how did it work? And what was the obstacle that kept you from making these changes? And what feedback did you get from your husband or your boss or your kids or your body? And evaluating those, that's truly holistic in our work, in our mind. That's how we look at helping clients move their life forward, is not trying to say, I'll go talk to somebody else for that. And you end up with 10 specialists who, I call them partialists, really. They look at a part of the problem rather than looking at the whole person. We don't treat a lab test. We treat the person, and we look, are you hungry or lonely or thirsty? Or when was the last time you had a hug or a nap or any other number of things? What
Stop, you're going to make me cry.
Well, I may have to at this point, Chris.
It might be. I need a hug.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could use one with the headache I have today. There you go. So, I want to fall back to, well, I want to incorporate what you just said and kind of merge that with a fallback to what you alluded to in this same sort of sense, where doctors, it seems nowadays, and I don't want to create some sort of conspiracy thing here, people, calm down, but they seem a lot of time to be fixing not the origin of the problem, is what I think you're referencing, but they seem to just fix the end result. And thereby the end result, since the origin isn't fixed, the end result keeps happening. I joked about having a headache today. So if I have a headache, I should go to the doctor. He goes, here, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. Well, that doesn't fix why I keep having headaches, maybe. And I know why we're having this headache today. It's a caffeine headache, withdrawal headache. And basically, what you've got to do is look at your health, or what you're eating, your gut health, what you're putting into your body that maybe is contributing to some of the things that are having these reactions that, when you run to the doctors, they just go, we'll take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning, or here's some pills. And, the scary part, a lot of these remedies that, we see it on TV. I'm not lying to you. I see some of the remedies they have for some of the ailments that are out there. And it's like, they'll say that there's side effects almost sound worse than the ailment themselves. And then there's some pill treatments I've seen where they're like, yeah, we're a remedy for side effects that you'll have for that other remedy you see on TV. And I'm like, what the hell? We're stacking now? So there you go. And then I think you merge this with relationships too, and partnerships, relationships, and try and balance that equation as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's funny because people will come to me to get their health in order. And it's not long before I find out, oh, it's your relationship that is on the rocks, or it's your story loop about why so-and-so doesn't carry their weight in this relationship, or any number of tensions that we have as we interact with people. And if we don't have relational success, then it's really hard to have physical health success. And if I've had the courage to go upstream and try to figure out, where is this tension coming from? And often it's the reality that half the equation is my client, the other half is the person they're talking about. And by going to work on them, somehow the relationships in their life gets better. And I give them tools and just walking through practical conversational skills. And okay, do you see how if you go that way, it's going to end up in the same loop? Maybe we can interrupt this pattern and try something different. And sure enough, that sometimes creates more of the breakthrough that lets the body finally heal, because they're not stressed out about walking on eggshells anymore. They're not mad about this relationship or feel like it's always the other person's fault and constantly living in frustration.
There you go. That makes sense. So sometimes people's issues in their relationship, or maybe things they're harboring, resentment, anger, misery. It sounds like a Metallica song I'm starting. You
need to sing for a second? Yeah, okay.
Anger, misery. So it sounds like some relationships I've had. They harbor those, and that affects their health as well. It maybe affects their eating patterns, because sometimes when you're eating, you don't feel well. Or when you're not feeling well, or not feeling loved or something, You might eat your feelings a little bit too much, which usually means going down to McDonald's and hitting the buffet down there.
Oof, don't do that. Yeah.
Don't do that.
No, but you're hitting the nail on the head because your relationships are so tied into, okay, what story am I telling myself?
Mhm.
And an easy way to switch your emotional state, if you're lonely or tired or hungry or frustrated, food is a dependable way to physically feel different. And it becomes this self-medication, hopefully not McDonald's, but it's some other thing that we go to dependably feel different. And we've never actually dealt with, why do I feel lonely or sad or frustrated or depressed or any number of other emotions of discontentment? And being willing to pause that moment and say, hang on, I don't have to go this way. What am I really feeling? And it takes a second to do that, to start creating some of the self-awareness that says, that's why I'm eating. I'm not actually hungry. And sure enough, if you are willing to interrupt that pattern and start to analyze what you would do to prevent it, you find your breakthrough is waiting. And that can take a while because your influences of the other person and their repeated ability to trigger you come into play. And you have to basically unplug the button that they push so that it doesn't work. And that there's some rewiring of the brain essentially, or your habits to do that. But it does work. I can promise you.
There you go. And so you guys merge life coaching, health coaching, and relationship coaching.
Mhm.
And so I believe, I guess you and your wife provide some balance there to coach couples or people in relationship to try and maybe help heal whatever sort of things are going on with them, and then heal their health and heal, what they want to achieve in their life, and trying to get everything, going, all the ships sailing in one direction, if you will.
Yeah, that's essentially it. So yeah, my wife and I are, I can delightfully say, have survived entrepreneurship as a married couple, and we have come out the other side, and couldn't be more in love and happy to have the family we have. And so there are some things we have figured out and can pass on through our experience, and others we just learn by observation of really hundreds of people that we have been through and had permission to go to the depths of the most tender stories and really say, this is how this person makes you feel. And sometimes we do that in the context of the two of them together. And we don't do it. We do it with fascination and no judgment. And just looking at, can you see how this person would be made to feel that way? And doing it in real time with the other person. We never say it's all one person's fault and nothing here the person we're talking to or talking about could improve. And it's a kindness that says we're both contributing to this on some level. And when ownership happens, when I can take ownership for my contribution to the tension that has arisen, I realize where I have the option to change. And when you see just a little bit of evidence of effort on the other person to participate in nudging the dynamic to go differently, to setting a new table or new rules of engagement for conversation, that really does percolate into richness of the conversation that we're all craving.
Yeah. I mean, you have to balance your life, your personal, your business, and your mental state of well-being, your nutritional state of well-being. If you don't take care of the machine, your body, you're not going to perform well in relationships. You're not going to perform well in business. And then if you're not taking care of your body, you're eating well because you're unhappy in your relationship, it's just like a cycle, really, huh? Yeah. It just goes around and around and around. You're just like, well, this isn't fixing anything.
No, you're right. And it's sometimes figuring out where someone's motivated to work on their overall health, whether that's life, relationships, or health, and letting them string together some wins in that arena gives them the courage to say, maybe I could do the same thing in another arena. Maybe now that I'm sleeping better, now that I'm digesting better, now that this tension in my home isn't so thick I can cut it with a knife, maybe I have the emotional reserves to tackle that bigger goal I've had. Maybe I have the emotional reserves to start that workout program or consider fasting or any number of other things that improve your health. And you just start looking for stacking of good habits. And that's why we named our program A Healthy Lifestyle Reset. We're trying to say what underpins a healthy lifestyle. And there's a half a dozen fundamentals we all have to do. We don't get a free pass from sleeping and eating and hydrating and the basic things. And once those get better and better, everything else is kinder.
Definitely. Definitely. So you guys have on your website a what's your health transformation type, where the people can take a 2-minute quiz. I'll take it here when we get off the show. Tell us how this works and what we can find out about ourselves in it.
Oh, that was fun. So we've been at this since 2005 full time, and so about 3 or 4 years ago, actually a little more than that, we stepped back and said, what are the typical patterns we have observed amongst the people that we've coached over the years? And so we didn't have a number of types that we were looking for. We just tried to say, what are predictable stories that help us frame and have better clues as to what someone might be going through? And so just spent a lot of time thinking through the typical stories. We had particular clients, and we started realizing, yeah, these 5 all have that same tendency, and these 5 have this. And what it culminated in was 4 different predictable patterns of where people get stuck trying to change their health. And they can be, analysis paralysis type people, or they can be the people who think they can do all of the things and they don't have to say no to anything. Or there's these people who just do wild, bold things and they'll fire the bazooka and then go see what happened. And they don't realize, like, I should probably aim this and calibrate my actions a little bit more before I just try to assume I'm going to work out an hour 6 days a week, or or go these extreme diets, and realize there was a few lifestyle factors that were in the way and there was no chance that was ever going to work. And so we just tried to say, I wonder if we could create this as a quiz and spare people some wrong turns when they think about their health, and realize how their temperament, their wiring, or their personality blends into what they're trying to accomplish with their health. And so we just created that quiz as a outflow of that discussion.
I like it. Can you give us some tease outs on some of the things in your program that you think are important, or maybe some things you look for when you're like, if I'm out there in the audience listening, what are some behavior things that you guys maybe see in relationships that you guys typically end up fixing?
Well, it was funny because part of what we realized when we were analyzing the clients to create that quiz is that we didn't have any narcissists. We don't have anybody who has all the answers and doesn't want help, or just is looking for somebody to give them a little pep talk and send them out there. We collect people who really have been humbled by life and are finally, they're kind of at that, I feel like I've tried everything, and almost not necessarily, they don't have to be at the end of their rope, but they're close. And they feel like, I need somebody who's seasoned at this. And what's interesting to me, I've had the good fortune to blog and have that do well. And so it really clarified who was attracted to the type of way that we think about health. And turns out it's, 50s and 60s and predominantly 60-something-year-old females who have, and there's something about, it doesn't have to be female, but there's something about that age of life when you hit 59 to 60 where you go, whoa, I'm not going to live forever. And some of these patterns I've been in are probably not serving me. And the wick is burning down, and I don't have the option to do it poorly again. I need to have a systems level thinking. And so that mindset, there's humility, but there's also just kind of I've tried a lot of things, and the bad habits and the short circuits or shortcuts I've tried to take over the years aren't working. And I need to dig deeper, and gosh, maybe I'm actually part of the problem. And
what? Me?
I know these old wounds I have and the things like,
I thought it was everybody else.
No, it's not just, thank you. You're welcome, Chris. This is not just you. So many people, just whatever happened in their past is what's holding them back today. And they just needed a guide who can see that and kindly hold up a mirror so they can change.
It's always that mirror. Damn it. Thank God I'm a vampire. I can't see my reflection. At least that's what I'm claiming.
That's a relief.
So there you go. Something like that. So I love what you guys are doing, and I think it's great that people can work with you. Do you guys, when you guys work with a partnership, let's say it's a man or woman in this case, do you guys work together as your husband and wife teams together, or does your wife take the women aside and you work with the men directly? Or how do you balance that out in the sort of environments you do?
Yeah, good question. So I do the lion's share of the coaching, the one-on-one coaching. Nina will do occasionally. And we have group coaching where Nina comes in and both of us are there. And there's an interesting, for example, in the personal training world, males tend to have an advantage because most guys want to train with a guy and women are okay with training with a guy. In massage therapy, most males and females prefer to have a female touch them. In a coaching environment where we get into these deeper substantive things, it tends to go back to male, where Guys will respond to a man who just calls them out on their crap and
Yeah.
doesn't give them a free pass. And women can appreciate that, gosh, there might be a man or an example of manhood or masculinity in a marriage that isn't bad. And I just griping about it doesn't necessarily fly here. Like, because I can admit where males are just clueless and aloof and not helpful. But I can also say, and this is where the females get off track. And for some reason, they respect that and they appreciate that it's not just females griping about females. And so for whatever reason, I've gravitated to do most of the coaching, and it seems to be something that keeps people coming back.
There you go. Well, I mean, you're kicking ass taking names. I remember one time I had a girlfriend that we were just at the end of the relationship. We were just dragging the dead horse, And so finally I said, look, I'm going to allow this to continue under one condition. We start going to couples counseling. And maybe they can save it, but the only reason I'm offering this is because it's either this or it's the end. And I want to be able to say that I tried, and so that I can't just go, well, I just quit, took the easy way out, because I don't know, for some reason that was important to me. Nowadays I just quit and move on. But
maybe we should talk.
Well, I think what I identified is that sometimes I'm not the problem. It's the choice. Wow, that sounded like I don't take self accountability for anything, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that it's still possible. Yes.
I've dated a lot of models in my life, and sometimes I do make bad choices. And sometimes you have to realize, all that plethora, that parade of red flags that you passed 6 months back, you just blew through all of that. So, the problem isn't fixable. Move on. But I don't know. That's how I roll. But I remember saying to her, I says, why don't we go into couples therapy? And she says, I don't want to do it. And I go, why not? And she says, because I know what'll happen. The psychologist will tell him the problem is me.
Uh-oh. That would be the biggest red flag yet, perhaps.
Not my bullshit. So now you know why I said, well, it's probably time to leave some of these things. Best advice, though, is not to get them in the first place. Don't blow through all the red flags, ladies and gentlemen, especially you young men out there. So what else have we talked about that you guys do and help people with in your service, or how people can improve the quality of their life? Well,
I mean, we have a very deep toolkit when it comes to physical health. So from nutrition to fitness to fasting to detoxification and many other realms of health, because we've been at it so long and because we think holistically, we are not pigeonholed into the hammer nail problem of all I have is one supplement or one nutrition protocol, and everybody has to manage their carbs or their fiber or their calories. And we look at everything we do as a holistic bent. So holistic nutrition, holistic fitness, a holistic look at detoxification. And so often there are simple things. I had a client dramatically reduces A1C because his doctor had no clue that artificial sweeteners had such a profound impact on blood sugar.
Jesus.
Right? It's the simple thing. Sometimes you have
think everybody would know that by now, but I guess not.
No, it's sweet influences blood sugar, whether it's fake or real. And
it spikes it hard too.
Yeah. The fact that most doctors don't know that, and you're like, seriously?
Yeah. Your body doesn't know what to do with artificial sugar. It freaks it the hell out.
Yeah. Once in a while you get an easy win like that. And other times there's nuance to peeling this onion and figure out what toxins are you exposed to. Do we need to go a few layers deeper into gut health and metals detox and parasites and any number of other things that could be
get off the
relevant.
crack cocaine and meth. That's always good too.
That's definitely a good start.
Note to self. Work on that next week.
Yeah.
I noticed you have something on your website. You have a few different variations of, I think, what are logins for self-study and members, personal coaching clients, and the Sovereignty project. What are those?
So the memberships is a way to get access to really a lot of the content we have curated over the years. And twice a month, you get 1 hour of a group coaching call. You can come and ask any question related to anything health, and that includes relationships or whatever else is you perceive as part of your puzzle. And so then we have personal coaching, which is really just our one-on-one offering where you can hire me and or Nina for 3, 6, and 12 months to really just go to work deconstructing what has happened to you. And let's see how we actually put this back together and get you on solid ground. And the Sovereignty Project another name for it would be the Freedom Project. It's really a way to reclaim our sovereignty, our ability to have autonomy over our own lives from the people who currently want to take it away from us and shuttle us into 15-minute cities and digital concentration camps and everything else that they're trying to do with their injections and the captured everything. It's big everything, really, tech and media and so on. And to say, what would it take to have a digital ecosystem that's unplugged? What would it take to have a financial stability? What would it take to be disentangled from the banking system or from the systems of food and health that really don't have our best interests in mind right now? And to have the ability for them to say, you have to eat bugs, and we can say, no, thanks. We're not gonna eat your bugs, and we're not gonna take your shots, and we're gonna homeschool our kids, and we're going to through the list of things. So we really turned our coaching skills toward what would it take to be sovereign and free? And it kind of fit us because that's what we're trying to free people to live better lives to begin with.
If anything, people need to turn off their phones and quit looking every so much. And this is from somebody who's doing a show looking at a giant phone. So there you go. Final thoughts and pitch out as we go out, Christian, on everything you guys do and what you guys do it.
Yeah. So we, as you probably tell by now, we just think very holistically about solving the problem. We are more high touch and interested in all of who you are and lacing that with grace and empathy to help you figure out where you're stuck and how to get unstuck. So that some easy ways to engage with us would be to take our quiz, and you'll get a little results from that and have a video that can kind of tell you more about what we think might be in the ballpark of some of your tendencies. And then if you want to engage further, there's another video you can watch. It just talks about how we think about solving your health puzzle. And from there, if it's interesting, you can consider a membership or some coaching or just enjoy the podcast and a lot of the free content that we pump out. That is, we just go to the market to attempt to genuinely be helpful. And in the effort to do that, often people realize, you know what, I'm finally ready. I need guidance like that. I need somebody who solved this problem 100 or 1,000 times before who can help me do that. So anybody can get a free consultation. Just truewholehuman.com/consultation. And we'll just sit and actually listen to you rather than 10 minutes of half listening and a pill that you get when you go to a doctor. And we'll help you figure out. It's been one of the more insightful conversations you've had about yourself and your health. So if that's interesting, that's another way to engage.
And you got a big green button on your website that says request a consultation for a free call.
Yep, that's it. Just click that button.
45 minutes too. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I actually listen and take notes. And
I'm just going to call you just to have you listen to me or something.
Hey, well, that works too.
How's it going, Christian? No, I'm just kidding, man.
It's Chris again.
Give me your .com one more time, so as we go out, so people can find out.
Yeah,
it's truewholehuman.com and deconstructingconventional.com.
There you go. Thank you very much, Kristen. It's been delightful to have you on the show and very insightful as well.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it.
There you go. Thanks, Monis, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. If you haven't referred your family, friends, relatives, just remember you're going to see them really soon at Christmas and Thanksgiving. People on YouTube watch this 10 years from now are going to go, what the hell? And you're going to see them. It's October right now, folks. Or actually, it's November 1st. I'm still in October. But you're going to see them soon. So you want to make them smarter. So you don't want to choke, so you don't feel like choking them over Thanksgiving and dinner. So refer them to the Chris Voss Show. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, and the Chris Voss one on the Tickety Talkety. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.